I'm Gen X, and I'm a little bit more technologically savvy. Only a few minutes late, but welcome to Conversations with Clients, Convos with Clients, because we're cool. We abbreviate everything here at Madison+Main. Today, this is episode 1 of our Zoom conversations with friends and clients. And I wanted to introduce you to a few folks that you need to know, especially if you are anywhere around Chesapeake, Virginia. First of all, today we have the lovely and talented Casey Gilchrist. She is the business development manager at Chesapeake Economic Development. I used to live in Chesterfield, and I say that once in a while. This is Chesapeake Economic Development. I'm going to say that 14 times. Chesapeake Economic Development. Casey, can you say hi to everybody and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Casey. I am a business development manager, as Dave said. I focus mostly on bringing new businesses to the city, but also help with our existing businesses as well. And I lead our marketing efforts in the department. So I work directly with Madison+Main.
And we appreciate that. We've had a good time working together so far. I want to bring into the conversation Stephen Wright. He is the executive director of Chesapeake Economic Development. Hello, sir.
Hello, Dave. Thanks so much for having us. And don't worry, I used to work in Chesterfield County, and every now and then I say Chesterfield instead of Chesapeake as well. But I am back where it all started for me, back in the great city of Chesapeake, Virginia.
Chesapeake, Virginia, right down the road. We've been working with you guys for a little bit, and what I wanted to do today is give a chance to introduce you. We've got a lot of folks here on Facebook that tune in for these things. They're clients, they're partners, they're vendors, they're members of the media. And first, I want to throw this question, first of all, to Stephen. A lot of people don't understand all of the things that an economic development department do. What does Chesapeake Economic Development do for the citizens of Chesapeake and the businesses of Chesapeake?
Well, Dave, I'll tell you, economic development is something that very few people really know about and or understand. And I must confess, I was one of those individuals as well. I had never heard of economic development, but about 25 years ago, I got an opportunity to start in it, and it kind of opened up a world of opportunities for me. A lot of people, even a lot of businesses, don't know about economic development because there is no degree for someone that wants to get into economic development. But basically, our charge is in the city of Chesapeake is to support the business community any way that we can, and specifically support them in their efforts to grow and expand. We do this for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure that the citizens of Chesapeake have good quality job opportunities. And secondly, we want to make sure that the tax base in Chesapeake is supported from the revenues that are generated by those businesses. And I'm specifically speaking of the tax revenues. In any city, it's the business community and the taxes generated from the business community that really supports and undergirds the quality of life of that community. In Chesapeake, we have a fantastic quality of life, but we would not have it if not for our business community. So our role as the Economic Development Department is to really be the liaison between local government and the business community. And our job is just to support them in any way possible that we can.
That's awesome. And I think that's a good definition too. A lot of people, because it is a governmental organization, it's also, I think, a liaison between the business community and the government, right? So and a question for Casey here, when you're talking about marketing an economic development entity like Chesapeake, I imagine there's two audiences that you want to reach, right? You want to bring new businesses. You want to tell people why Chesapeake is a great place to bring your manufacturing facility or your technology company, right? So on the front side of that, what are the kind of things that you do in order to reach potential businesses and sell them on the idea of coming to Chesapeake and marketing the totality of this great community you're talking about?
Well, Dave, it It's funny that you say that when you're speaking to external audiences. For us, we're very fortunate in Chesapeake to have a large international base. So not only do we market to our domestic audience, we also market to our international audience. And even those two audiences are very different, although they're both external. So for domestic, our domestic audience, we don't really have to educate them that much on the United States or the East Coast. We kind of have to tell them where we are in Virginia, especially as it relates to DC, because everyone knows where DC and Northern Virginia are.
Sure.
And we really speak to things like the workforce, our interconnectivity in terms of our infrastructure and our tax rates and things like that, because that's where we are competitive compared to other states. When it comes to international audiences, we really have to do a lot more education. And that's something that I really enjoy, is getting to talk about the greatness of our state and then also how great Chesapeake is. So when we talk to international businesses, we have to market the state of Virginia. If they don't know where the state of Virginia is, we have to say, okay, do you know where DC is? Right below DC. And then we have to educate them on where Hampton Roads is in the state. And then once we educate them on that, we're like, okay, we're one of the little blocks in this region. And this is what makes us great. And luckily, Chesapeake's location is in the center of the region. So we can really take advantage of all of our sister cities' assets in a sense. So it's a really easy sell. It just takes a little bit more time to familiarize people when they're international.
I know a big part.
We say, as Casey mentioned, we do have to educate a lot of folks. You would be surprised, because typically once we leave the state of Virginia, people just geographically, they just don't know where's Virginia and Hampton Roads and Chesapeake, and that's even along the Eastern Seaboard. There are people that don't know who and where we are. So education is really key.
I spent 11 years in Los Angeles, and I think, not to disparage Californians don't know geography. They don't really know anything other than what they see there. And I remember a good, close personal friend, godmother to my daughter, after we'd moved here for several years, and she said, well, I said, oh, I wish we saw you more often. She goes, it's your fault you moved to West Virginia. No, we didn't. We moved to real Virginia, not West Virginia. Anyway, I know the whole geography thing is pretty tough. Stephen, I wanted to pass one to you. Getting new businesses into Chesapeake is part of the stuff that makes the headlines, right? Because you get a big win, you get company X comes in, you get the ribbon cut and all that. That's very exciting, right? But one of the things that I wanted you to talk about is the kind of things that you deliver already to existing businesses in the county. And I want to talk a little bit about the one-on-one communications that you guys did during COVID to help businesses right there in Chesapeake. Could you tell me a little bit? I mean, I know about the program.
Sure.
Could you tell people who are watching today about that program?
Well, Dave, I'll first start by saying, as an economic development department, we typically get evaluated using two metrics. One is, what was the level of capital investment, private sector capital investment, that came into the city? That can either be from new businesses or from existing businesses actually expanding their operations. The second metric that's used to evaluate us is the amount of jobs that are created during a given period. With both of those metrics, studies have seen, and just what our experience in Chesapeake has been, that we get far more capital investment and far more new job creation from businesses that are already in our city than from the businesses that we will attract from all over the world. So we pay awful close attention to working with the businesses that are in our city already. And it's, in many ways, it's easier because these are businesses that are already here. They already understand the advantages of Chesapeake. They know what we have to offer. So we don't have to educate them as much. And it's probably a little bit more gratifying for us too, because again, these are businesses that have already made a commitment. They've already made an investment in our community. So we should pay very close attention to them. As it relates to COVID and what we've been doing with our existing businesses, I will tell you it has been a challenge because economic development as a business is really about relationships. And we have a saying in our office that nothing beats face-to-face communication. So it's been a bit of a challenge for us to rely on technology, but it's something that we're really passionate about in terms of reaching out to our existing businesses. So, we've always had a business retention visitation program where we try to go out and meet with businesses one-on-one. And we do it for a couple of reasons. One, we want to understand, what's the health of their business? What's the health of the industry that they're in? But also we want to know what their issues are. What problems or struggles are they having? Because it's our job to really be that middleman to understand what the needs of the business are. And if we can't meet that need, we've got to go find a resource to meet it. So we've always done that on a one-to-one basis, kind of face-to-face. COVID has required us to utilize technology.
Right.
So with the help of you guys at Madison+Main, you helped us establish a business chat program. It has been extremely successful. And it has gone a long way of giving us an opportunity to maintain those business relationships and in many ways enhance them. There are 15-minute blocks of time where someone can set up an appointment with us. If we need to bring in a resource, we can do that. And I will tell you, the thing that I've loved about this business chat program is that it has given us an opportunity to educate our business community. Because there are many people in our Chesapeake business community that even they don't know that there is an economic development department here in the city to help support them. A lot of the businesses that I've had business chats with were completely clueless. And when we talked to them and told them about the services we provide, the events that we offer, they were completely blown away. So it's been really, really gratifying for us and given us that opportunity to in some ways stay connected and in some ways form new connections with our business community.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head too there between the face-to-face. We're in a business where, when we were working with you, we're working right here in this conference room. 91 days ago, the world stopped. It was like, I count it every day. And we can't get around this table anymore to share those ideas face-to-face. And we've probably had a dozen Zoom meetings like since then to work on it. And like I said yesterday, I had it from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. yesterday. Zoom. But it is amazing that this technology exists to get people face-to-face. And really cool, I think, for you guys to do these 50-minute blocks for existing businesses. And so far, a lot of businesses have been taking advantage and signing up for the free chats and the free advice.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Casey.
It's been helping, being that they can set it to the time that works best for them.
Right.
In the past, people have had to not only know that we exist, but also work with our schedules. But because we have a set block of time, we can reach a lot more people because we divide and conquer. So it's been a really great success, and we've gotten nothing but great feedback from all the businesses who have taken advantage of it.
Yeah. And tell me what time of day that you're doing the blocks and stuff like that, in case we have folks down there, because we have people all over the state that are on our YouTube. I mean, on our
Yeah. It's from 10 to 2 daily, Monday through Friday. And there are 15 blocks of time, and you can either request a video chat like Zoom, or we can just call you by phone.
I believe Derek's going to put the link in the chat today. Excuse me.
Great.
He's going to put the link in the chat. He probably already did it, like he read my mind before I actually said it. And even though we were late today and stuff like this, it wasn't Derek and Kent's fault for doing that. I just want to let you know it was my fault for the computer, because they were scrambling and looked absolutely panic stricken for like a couple of minutes. But they are here because frankly, I need a babysitter. I can't actually push the buttons and stuff myself. But just to be sure, for everybody watching, I have kept them at arm's length. They are 6 feet away, just because that's the way I prefer it, not because I think they have any sort of infection. They are giving me looks right now. But anyway, back to some of the things that I wanted to talk about too. We covered new businesses and kind of attracting that from a national and international level, overcoming some of those hurdles, talking about where Virginia is, and why it's unique, and then you start telling about some of the assets that you guys have as a city, incentives and available sites and all these different things, and then you talked about briefly how you connect and use the assets of the communities surrounding you. I imagine at one level, there's got to be some competition, right, with other economic development departments, because you're competing to get that business, right? But then on the other level, there's got to be some sort of cooperation because you're all in the same region. Stephen, how does that dynamic play out?
Well, it's really interesting, and I think there are a lot of misconceptions, particularly in the Hampton Roads area that we live in. I think there's a misconception that the localities don't work together, particularly when it comes to economic development. I will tell you, it couldn't be farther from the truth. All of my colleagues in the other cities, we know each other. Many of us are good, close friends. In fact, a lot of us have worked in other communities. Right. So there is a familiarity with the other cities in our region, and there's a healthy dose of respect that we have for those communities and the individuals that lead those communities. So yes, we do compete, but I must say a win for Chesapeake is really a win for every other city within our region. Right. And likewise, the very opposite is certainly the case too. So we all get along. We all, many times when we were traveling back pre-COVID days, many of us would travel together because one, there's strength in numbers, and really our goal is to kind of promote Virginia first, then our region, then our individual cities. So many times when we're trying to attract businesses from outside of our region, we're working together, we're traveling together. And I will tell you, you really get to know someone very well when you travel with them. So there's a real sense of camaraderie here in our region, even though there is competition from time to time.
We were talking about this yesterday, and you hit the nail on the head. When you travel with folks, so one, when you meet someone and you break bread with them, you have a drink with them, you get a chance to break down some barriers there. Mm-hmm. Travel with someone, it's a whole different kind of ballgame, right?
Oh yeah.
So for years, we take a company retreat, right, and we go on a booze cruise. Essentially, we went like to the Bahamas and Florida and stuff. And we were talking about this yesterday. One of the things about it is the camaraderie here, and part of the culture here is actually the travel to the airport and getting into the taxi and doing something there, or going to see something different, or sharing those meals together. And I understand, we were talking about that a lot yesterday, and we were like, how do we, in the age of COVID, bring some of that back, when you can't travel, when you can't actually communicate? And so, that's the thing. Our organization and yours and others really have to use this word, pivot a lot. How do they maintain good relationships, and how do they develop new good relationships when those things are gone? When you can't go out for a drink, when you can't travel with someone, when you can't sit in a conference room together. Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways that you guys are maintaining contact other than the webinars with some of the people that some of the businesses that you're serving? Casey, any?
We've really been relying a lot on Zoom. One event that we host on a monthly basis is our EDAC meetings, and it's kind of similar to this. It's just with 60 or 70 people. Although it's not in person, there's still like this excitement that comes from getting to see faces not necessarily right in front of you, but even just virtual faces helps a lot. And just talking on the phone more. Before, I was an email queen. Like, you can ask Stephen, I did everything through email, but now my phone etiquette is top notch and I actually quite enjoy it. So hearing someone's voice, seeing them through Zoom has always been helpful. We're trying to start instituting like a new meeting with our partners, like our attorneys, our bankers, our accountants. We're hosting a meeting on Monday for them just to touch base and tell them about our grant program that we recently launched. So just trying to stay in contact as much as possible. Now that people are going back to work, we're hoping to start seeing people maybe at a distance in person.
Yes.
Dave, I will say what Casey just said is one of the great things that has come from COVID, because what you have, if you can't tell, Casey's a little younger than me, and she's our resident millennial. And I, like you, are a Gen Xer. So, before, I would say maybe some of us Gen Xers didn't really appreciate technology as much as the millennials. And I think the millennials may not have appreciated that physical, personal contact as much as us Xers did. We've kind of had to meet in the middle during COVID. And I think I'm hopeful that coming out of it, we'll both have a greater appreciation for what the other likes and appreciates. And it'll allow us to move in a new, more positive direction in terms of bridging that generation gap.
I agree with that. I think that, part of the thing is that technology shapes the way that human beings communicate over time. So if you think about it, from the earliest caveman days all the way up to now, sending smoke signals, for example, compared to social media, technology as it's evolved basically changes that. And so I hear people lamenting all the time about text messaging and whatever. As a former English major, I still use punctuation in text messages, right? My mother, who is a very late boomer, for example, is on Facebook and started using it with all caps, so she's yelling like literally at everybody. When she goes to her Facebook page and says something random like, what are the hours of Perkins Cafeteria? I have to explain that it's not Google. Type that into Facebook, and so there are different platforms for different things. It's kind of funny, we laugh at it, but she's come a long way. But if you think about just the difference in the generations and stuff like this, millennials have never known a world without personal communication through the internet, right?
Yeah.
Boomers were already of age and halfway through their careers before the internet became a thing.
Right.
So, I was talking the other day about phone call conversations way back when I was really, really young. You could pick up the phone and it was a party line phone at my grandmother's house in the country.
A party line? What is a party line phone?
Yes. See, I'm going to explain this to the millennial. You pick up the phone and you say, all right, everybody else get off the phone. I need to make a phone call. Because everybody along the road and in the neighborhood was listening in.
What?
And they had station to station calls. So you say, well, I want to call my doctor. And then you'd say, Janet, to the operator, can you connect me to Dr. Barnes? And everybody else get off the call because I got to talk to Barnes about, whatever. And that was literally how phone calls and stuff were made. And it reminded me that everything old is new again. That's kind of like social media. Everybody's listening on the party line.
That is true.
I do want to get to something else I think is going to be really of value to folks down there in Chesapeake. One of the things on your website talked about the COVID-19 assistance that you're doing. Maybe I can have you both jump in on that. Stephen, tell me at a high level what's happening and how and what does this grant process look like and how does that affect businesses?
Well, I'll tell you, we were just on a call before we came on here to discuss it. We are really, really excited about our small business COVID relief grant program. It's really geared at helping us connect with businesses that have struggled throughout this pandemic process and get some resources in their hand. Right now, our initial level of funding is about almost $450,000. And we are underway with an application process where businesses can apply. They can go to our website, and they can do an online application where they supply all the necessary information and tell us their story about how they've been impacted by COVID. And based on how they score, they'll be eligible for grant funding. This is not loan, this is a grant. They can take this money and do with it what they want. That's awesome. The first level. The second level of funding will roll out probably within the next few weeks. That's a little bit larger. That's about $3 million that we're going to have an opportunity to get out into our community and help. And I will say, what we're really trying to do is target the businesses that have been the most impacted from COVID. We're targeting businesses that have not received any additional PPP or EIDL money from the Small Business Administration. We're also trying to target SWAM businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and businesses that employ a significant number of individuals with low to moderate incomes, because those are the folks the research tells us those are the folks that have been most impacted. So it's something that we're really excited about because it's really going to help businesses that need it. When you talk about incentives at a larger level, sometimes we're not always sure if the business that may qualify for an incentive truly needs it. Yeah. But in this case, we're going to be able to clearly evaluate these businesses based on their need. And it's going to be real gratifying for us because we can actually directly respond to that need.
That's awesome. I'm sure that we're putting that in the link. It's already in there right now. I'm getting a thumbs up. Mr. Brockwell put that in for us already. So you can click on, folks, if you're in Chesapeake, you can go there, click on the link, find out the information, and go through the application process. I was thinking about the SWAM businesses, the better-known businesses, and some of the others that didn't take advantage of PPP or EIDL or any other like acronym I can think of right now. But I was reading a lot about restaurants really taking it on the chin. I'm sure you have, I know that you have a lot of great restaurants down there. The PPP, the way it was originally designed, didn't really help because you're closed. You got to do 75% of the revenue to go back for employment, right? And then you had 8 weeks to do it. Now, I know that PPP has changed to a 24-week period, but a lot of restaurants didn't take that because they didn't think they could spend it in 8 weeks. If they're closed, they don't have employees if they're providing takeout, delivery, and that sort of stuff. First, I guess you guys have reopened to a certain extent down there and with phase 2 reopening. You're lucky. In Richmond, we're not. We still have to take out curbside or eat in Henrico County, Hanover County, or Chesterfield. That's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to drive over to Henrico County and have a nice meal in a restaurant. But there with this, those loans and hearing that you're going to, not the loans, but the grants, and you want people that may have been like a restaurant or somebody that didn't take advantage of PPP, encouraging them to come over and get the grant would be a main thing of what you're doing right now. And it's kind of a gap between what the federal government has done and then what the local community has done, right?
Yeah. And I would also say, even if you applied for PPP or EIDL and say you didn't make the application deadline or it wasn't accepted, please apply to our program and we'll consider it as well. And it isn't a rolling application. There is a deadline for the first round of funding, and that is June 22nd. I just wanted to make that clear.
Well, I know that I tried to keep this thing to about 30 minutes. I know that I was late getting on the thing. We're getting close to the 30-minute mark. First of all, I want to say thank you for the call, and very nicely done. There's my Thank you. Thankfully, I hit the right button, so it was a very awkward moment just now. But that was the golf clap. You guys did a great job. Casey, wrapping it up with you, if you could tell our folks right now one thing about Chesapeake economic development that you want to share before we go, the floor is yours.
I would just say that we have a great team here. We're led by an amazing director in Steven, and he really sets the tone for what a professional department is. And everyone that works in this department is eager to help businesses succeed in Chesapeake, whether you're here or looking to locate here. So if you're in Richmond or Henrico or Chesterfield and you're trying to expand down to Hampton Roads, please visit our website and get in contact with us.
We get a few more clients. We're coming down to open up a satellite office down there. And in the meantime, until I see you guys in person, we're very excited to have you back up here. Can't wait for you guys to come back up. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to try some chicken.
Yes.
There you go. I'll give them a shout out. Love this place. Part of the reason for the lateness of the call, folks, is the fact that my eyes were just like, wow. From Stephen, any last words for you before we jump off the call today?
I tell you, I really appreciate those kind words from Casey, but I'll tell you one thing I've learned about leadership is if you work with good people, others will say good things about you. And I'm real fortunate not only to have a good group, a good team of people that I work with and really work for, but you also have to have some partners out there that make you look good too. And you guys at Madison+Main have certainly done that. We really appreciate our engagement with you guys. You've made it, you've given us a new way of looking at ourselves and a new way as figuring out how we're going to promote ourselves in the marketplace. So Dave, thanks for that. And again, we really appreciate you having us on today.
Well, I appreciate it, really. There we go. I hit the button. I was going to say, hold on, I hit the wrong button. So to finish the call, I was going to say, here it is. It's there you go. My $1.99 sound machine. Thank you guys for jumping on that call today, and I look forward to seeing you via Zoom soon. And then right after that, here in the conference room. And thanks for all the kind words. I'm sure we'll talk to you real soon. And thanks for jumping on the call today.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Have a good weekend.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye.